So the Premier League is back this weekend finally, and this is the Footy Tripz predictions video. If you're new around here on Footy Tripz, I'm going to the 50 biggest football teams in the world, comparing and rating the best fans, finding the best place to go for a footy trip. And here we are with the Premier League predictions video. The format of this is going to be top 4 predictions, relegation 3 predictions, a team I think will overachieve, and then finally we will talk about the 4 main players to have in fantasy football in each position that might go under the radar, and then the winners of the European competitions. So I'm going to start off with the Premier League top 4 predictions, and I think I'm going to start with teams that I think might just miss top 4, starting with Tottenham. I think Ange is a great manager. I think he's probably going to go one or two ways. He's either going to finish 7 or 8 with Spurs and probably get sacked before the end of the season, or he'll somehow bring them into a title race. I don't think there'll be any in between, but I think it's a lot more likely it'll be the former, because I think that Tottenham job is probably the toughest in world football, and to be honest, if he does last all season, he's going to need a bit of time to put in a bit of work there. I don't think Tottenham are good enough at the moment for top 4. I think they've made some great signings, and the whole Harry Kane saga is going to be a bit tricky there as well. So is he staying, is he going? As of today, at the time of recording, Tottenham accepted a £100 million bid from Bayern, but he has been telling them that he's more likely to stay. So it's going back and forth. So yeah, look, I don't think they'll get top 4. I think they'll miss out. I also think another team that's going to miss out is Chelsea. I really think they're going to flop this season. I just think they've literally gutted the whole team. There's literally Chilwell and Reece James left. I think everybody else is nearly gone. You know, they had an injury there with Nkunku already pre-season, so looks like they're going to be starting Jackson. I just think Chelsea is a mess, and I'd be very surprised. People are tipping them to go for the title. I would be very surprised, very, very surprised. So 4th place, I think United. I think they're steadily thereabouts last few seasons, 2nd, 3rd, 6th, 3rd, thereabouts. They're knocking about all the time. I think they're steadily improving. Ten Hag, obviously great manager. I think they'll do enough for top 4. I don't see them getting involved in a title race, but I think they'll get Champions League again. So 4th place United. 3rd place for me is Arsenal. I thought they were going to win the league last year for a lot of the season. I really did. But I think if they were going to win it, last year was their year. I think they've improved their squad, definitely, with the likes of Trossard, Havertz, Timber, like definitely making improvements. Do I think they're doing enough to beat the likes of City and Liverpool? I don't think so. Do I think they're going to really drop off a cliff and fall out of the top 4? Possibly. The distraction of Champions League, being back in the Champions League, is going to be huge for them. They're also 4th favourites to win the Champions League, which I think is a little bit bizarre. Yeah, they're a good side, but come on, there's only 3 teams in Europe more likely to win the Champions League than Arsenal. I don't think they'll be in the semi-finals, and according to the bookies, that's basically where they put them. But yeah, I'm going to put them in 3rd. 2nd place, I think Liverpool will have a very strong season. A lot of worries, people having a lot of worries about the squad depth. Look, bar a good few injuries, I think they'll be safe enough. I think they've the best attack in the league, minus Haaland with City. Overall attack, Gakpo, Nunes, Salah, Diaz, it's just so strong. I really think that they're going to have a good season. I still think City will probably be too good. So I'm putting Liverpool in 2nd. And unfortunately, Premier League champions yet again, I think it'll be Man City. I think Haaland is just an absolute monster. He's a machine, and I just think he's just going to be a goal machine week in, week out again. Look, they're treble winners. Like, you can't fault them. You literally can't. It's a bit frustrating, because Premier League was always so competitive. You know, anyone could win it. Back in the day, you was Arsenal, Chelsea, United. You know, anyone could win it, and now it's turning into a bit like the Bundesliga and the French league, where City have won, I think 5 of the last 6 or 4 of the last 5 maybe. So yeah, look, they're probably going to win it again. So I hope they don't. I hope someone beats them. But unfortunately, they just look far too strong. And I'd be surprised if over 38 games any team can do better than them, to be honest. So that's the top 4 predict. Now moving on to the relegation tree. Okay, so I think Wolves are in big trouble this year, and they mightn't realise it yet, but I'd be very, very worried if I was a Wolves fan. I think if you offered most Wolves fans 17th now, I think a lot of them would take it. I've seen them in the pre-season friendly in Dublin against Celtic. They didn't look good. The Wolves team that came up a few years ago that got like 100 odd points, it was such an exciting team. I think under Nuno they had some unreal players in that squad. You know, watching them in the Premier League was exciting with Jota and Jimenez and Podence, and they would just look real exciting, whereas I think this Wolves team just look flat and they look like they're in a decline. And I think teams like Forest and Burnley and Bournemouth, I think will probably get the better of them and maybe just stay ahead of them, and I think that puts them in a real relegation scrap. I really do. I think Wolves are in huge trouble. There's conflict there with the manager. He's gone. He's out the door. He's finished. So you know, it looks like an absolute mess. I think Wolves will be in 18th. I think they're gone, and then 19th and 20th. What goes up must come down, and I think that's the case for both Sheffield United and Luton. I don't give either of them a chance. I think Luton are going to finish rock bottom. I really think the occasion of the Premier League will get the better of them. Fair play to them for getting there. What a journey they've been on, but I just think they're going straight back down. I don't see Luton finishing ahead of 3 teams. I don't see them finishing ahead of any, to be honest. So I think they're absolutely nailed on to finish bottom, and I think Sheffield United will probably be a couple of points ahead of them in 19th. I think they're going to have a tough season. The pair of them could be the whipping boys. I really think the 2 of them could be down probably by like March or April. Even, yeah, I think they could be down with about 7 or 8 games to go. I really do. And then Wolves are following them down. So my relegation tree is Wolves, Sheffield United and Luton. Then a shock performer, a team that I think will overachieve this year, is Brighton. I would not be surprised if they're knocking about for the top 6 again. I know they have Europe this year, which is massive for them, it's huge, but I think they've such an exciting squad. The introduction of the likes of Joe Pedro, they've got Evan Ferguson, Ireland's up and coming wonder boy, the likes of Matoma, they're solid at the back. I just think all round they're such an exciting team, and if I was a Brighton fan I'd be very excited for this season. I really do think that they're going to be, I'd say at worst 8th, maybe somewhere between 6th and 8th, which I think would be a fantastic result for them if they were to do that again. But I just think keep an eye on Brighton. I really think there's going to be a lot of upsets with them this year. I think they'll probably beat Liverpool, City, Arsenal, maybe once each. I really do think they'll be very, very strong. My European winners. So this is an interesting one. I'll start with the Conference League. Conference League, it's not a great standard this year. If you look at the teams that are basically qualified, obviously there's a long qualification process for that. It's still going on, but obviously he's going to get teams in the Europa League that will drop into it. But I think it could be just pretty straightforward that Villa could go all the way this year. I actually think they have a great side as well. Watkins is gonna absolutely love that playing in Europe. He's gonna be brilliant. I just think that they've been so steadily improving every year, and now they're back in Europe. I think this competition is made for a team like them. I think they've got an incredible fan base as well. A European night in Villa Park, I'd say, is going to be very special if you're a Villa fan. And look, from the other teams that I can see in it so far, I just don't think. I think I could see in a cup final Villa would probably beat every other team that's in it at the minute. So unless a couple of good teams drop from the Europa League, which probably will happen, but just for the teams that are going for it from the start, I think Aston Villa are going to go very close, if not win the whole thing. Europa League winner. Europa League final is in Dublin this year, and Liverpool are in Europa League, and I just think it's going to be an absolute no-brainer that Liverpool are going to walk this competition. I really, really do. I think win this back in the Champions League, regardless where they come in the league. Klopp will definitely not be ignorant to this tournament. I don't think he's going to play kids all the way through. You know, obviously in the groups and that, yeah, of course he will, but I think once we get out of the group, he's going to really go for this, and I really think that they'll do this. I think maybe someone like, maybe one of the Dutch clubs, maybe like Ajax, could probably go on a run and come second here, but I really believe Liverpool are going to absolutely walk the Europa League this year. I think it's a foregone conclusion. Regardless who drops out of the Champions League into the Europa League, I think this is theirs to win. And then my Champions League winner, I think this year is going to be the year that there's an upset in the Champions League. I really do, because other than Man City, it's not like Champions Leagues in recent years where, you know, you've Real Madrid, Bayern, PSG, all the English clubs, a couple of the Italian clubs knocking about where it was pretty competitive. Like, you've got Man City, and then you've pretty much got most of the other teams on the same level. Any of them could win it. Like, Newcastle are eighth in the market, so only 7 teams in Europe more likely than Newcastle to win the Champions League. So it's just crazy. 4 of the top 8 are English clubs. So I just think that there could be an upset this year. And I think a team like possibly Atletico Madrid or Benfica. I really thought Benfica were impressive last year and the year before, and I think they've been knocking on the door. They've been getting to quarterfinals, they've been getting out of the groups, and I think they're getting there. They really are improving steadily, and I wouldn't write them off and going on a good run this year. And then a team like Atletico Madrid, I really think they had some serious unfortunate luck there in the last few years, losing the final to their local rivals Real Madrid. But just this year, like Barca not playing in the new camp, that might be a huge effect for them. I don't think Real Madrid will win it again. I don't think Bayern will win it. I don't think PSG will win it. I don't think any of the other English clubs will win it. I think it's going to be City against an outsider in the final, someone like Atletico. And I think they might just, if it's a team like that gets to the final, who's probably not expected to get to the final, I think it'll probably mean a lot more to them. Also, City've won it now. That's off their back. They're not going in thinking we've never won Champions League. They have now. So the pressure's off. So they probably are going to get to a few more finals, and probably are going to lose a couple of them. So I'm going to with an outsider this year, and I'm going to say that Atletico Madrid to win the Champions League. Now I'm going to do a part on fantasy football in association with FPL Draft Duo. You can get them over on Instagram, Jaxie and Olsey, 2 Irish lads who are doing a podcast every week on fantasy football, the draft specifically. Just interesting podcasts, check them out, really interesting listen. But the lads said we'll team up and we'll do a little clip of fantasy football and see, you know, is there any players that we think have slipped under the radar, a crucial player in each position, you could say. They might be an obvious one, they might be one under the radar, they might be a cheeky fancy that we have, but I'm going to give you one player in each position, so a goalkeeper, defender, midfielder and a forward that I think you have to have in your fantasy football team this year. So with the goalkeeper, I think this is solely going from game week 1. I think Aaron Ramsdale, you have to have him. Arsenal's first 3 fixtures, Forest, Palace, Fulham, that could be 3 clean sheets on the bounce very easily. They're about to get Raya, so Ramsdale's going to be looking over his shoulder knowing, okay, this lad's coming in to fight for first team, he's going to have to prove himself. 3 on paper handy fixtures for Arsenal. They've improved at the back. I think Ramsdale, if you get him in, even if you get him in for the first few weeks, you're gonna see the difference. So definitely Ramsdale in goal. Defender, I think Man City have about 8 million defenders now at the minute, so it's very hard to predict who's going to start each week. But I think the first name on that back line on the team sheet every week is Johnny Stones. He's not creative. He's not going to be making forward runs down the wing, but what you see is what you get. You know he's going to start. You know he's going to get a lot of clean sheets, and every now and then he'll creep up and score a header. So I just think he's a solid defender. City are going to get plenty of clean sheets, of course they will. You know, these are the players you want to be looking for. You don't want to look at people who are going, oh, he might score, he might do this, he might that. You know, a defender's a defender. Get your 6 points every week. Get your 2 points for playing. Get your 4 points for your clean sheet. He's solid, he's clutch. He's going to be a long-term profitable player for you. So Johnny Stones at the back, that's my defender. My midfielder, this is probably one of the most crucial players you have to have in your fantasy football team this year, and it's Bryan Mbeumo for Brentford. With the whole Ivan Toney saga, they're going to be playing this lad up front. They're going to be playing him down the centre. He's on penalties. He's down as a midfielder, so you're getting more points when he scores for a midfielder when he's actually a forward. So I just think it's absolutely crucial. It's a no-brainer. He's 6.5 as well, 6.5 million. Get Mbeumo in. He's going to start every week. He's going to start up front. He's going to take pens. He's going to get goals. He's going to get assists. Bryan Mbeumo, get him in there now. And my forward, finally, I have this player triple captain for game week 1. It's João Pedro. He's come in for Brighton. He's their record signing. In pre-season, it looks like he's going to be on pens. He's already scored 2 in pre-season. And Gavin Ferguson was on the pitch for one of them, and Pedro still took it. So, looks like Brighton are going to be starting this lad. He looks like he's going to be their main man. They're a good opener as well. Luton, Wolves and West Ham. I think West Ham might have a bit of a tricky season, to be honest. Luton and Wolves, I would expect Brighton to beat both of them. And I would expect João Pedro to score in both of them. 5.5 million for a forward, it's just a no-brainer. This lad needs to be in your team. He's going to get you goals, he's going to get you assists, he's going to play. I think he'll start. I don't think they're going to play just Ferguson. I think they'll either play both of them or just Pedro. But I really think João Pedro for Brighton, get him in, triple captain him against Luton, thank me later, he's going to score at least a brace. So just to conclude, those 4 clutch players you need to have in your fantasy team this year: Aaron Ramsdale, Johnny Stones, Bryan Mbeumo and João Pedro. 5 million, 5.5 million, 6.5 million, 5.5 million. Not one of them are even costing 7 mil. Get them all in. Get them all in. So look, that's the Footy Tripz predictions video for this year's Premier League. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a subscribe if you enjoyed it, as I'm going to be finishing my challenge to visit 50 of the world's biggest football clubs very soon. Cheers.